cliche to say that young people had an effect on the elections last year. But what does that mean exactly? Hi, I'm Denise Jimenez.
And I'm Letty Valise. On this Eagle Eye View special, we're going to take a deeper look at what the participation of young peoples meant in last year's historic election. We're going to try to define the youth vote and look at what young immigrants had to do with the election.
We're going to examine what role the immigration policies played in both the campaign of John McCain and Barack Obama.
Also, how well did the candidates do on matters of education, the environment, and the economy?
Let's start with that big question. What exactly is the youth vote? More than 36 years ago, the passage of the 26th Amendment, which lowered the voting age from 21 to 18, appeared to many observers then as the dawn of the new age of voter participation. In fact, voting has become more of a chore to be ignored than a civic duty to be upheld in almost all groups except Americans over 50. The passage of the Voting Rights Bill on July 1, 1971 came amid the Vietnam War, when the 18-year-olds were routinely drafted and could fight and die without having the right to vote. Since the 1972 elections, lack of youth vote participation has every candidate seeking the highly elusive youth vote. The Millennium Youth Voters are adults 18 to 30 years of age and define themselves as politically engaged, tech-savvy, and diverse generation. Young adults are taking action on key issues in communities and on campuses all across the country. Living paycheck to paycheck is a fact of life. Over the past decade, college costs, health insurance, and housing costs have soared. About 2/3 of college students graduate with debt, with the average graduate owing $20,000. Turnout rose sharply in the 2008 primary campaign. More than 6.5 million young people under the age of 30 participated in the 2008 primaries and caucuses. Candidates are using other methods as well to get youth voters. It has become a matter of contention of how long a candidate should spend on the age group that traditionally doesn't vote.
Social media is an avenue that is reaching the youth vote and these younger voters. That's the problem in the past. You've had a lot of campaigns doing traditional campaigning where they're doing advertisements on television shows like 60 Minutes, which the youth vote does not watch. They are doing traditional rallies, which a lot of times the youth vote and the youth don't show up to. So you're hitting them. The Obama campaign is hitting them in realms and avenues that they're used to going to, that they're familiar with, that they're comfortable with. And so they're actually tapping into this group in ways that has never been tapped into before.
The number of youth voters in 2008 presidential election has tripled, even quadrupled in some states compared to the 2004 elections. Websites like Facebook and YouTube not only allow students who don't subscribe to newspapers or watch the news to stay on top of the polls, but also allows them to share their excitement over the polls and candidates. The youth vote is here to stay, and they will affect all the future elections. In just a few minutes, a look at how well the candidates did with the Latino vote. With all the frenzy surrounding ballot propositions and presidential candidates, each vote is mined out like a precious commodity. While pollsters routinely project election results based on likely voters, in some cases the likely voter may not include young people, leaving young voters asking the question, do we count? Eagle Eye View's Alvin Clavon has the report.
A number of groundbreaking events. There was the historic campaign of an African-American candidate, and the possibility that the executive office could include a woman. Moreover, millions of U.S. citizens that engaged in the political process for the first time had a huge impact. Within these newly energized voters was a block of people many had overlooked in the past, young voters. But political pundits asked the questions, exactly who is the youth voter, and would the youth vote make a difference? For many activists, it wasn't easy to define or determine exactly what impact young voters would have.
So whether you define the youth vote as 18 to 24, you define it as 18 to 29, you're still looking at what impact young voters are going to have on the election and what percentage of them are voting and what do they feel. So the fact that however you define it, that's going to be the group that you look within, but it's what they find within that group I think is most important, whether or not they are voting, are they registered to vote, what are their issues, that's the main point.
While experts may disagree whether the youth vote constitutes 18 to 24 or 18 to 30, what they do agree upon
is that the youth care about the same issues as the rest of Americans.
There's these initiatives that young people need to pay attention to as well, and I think that especially the Prop 6 and Prop 9, which are the two crime control initiatives, resonate for the young people that we work with here at Cal State LA particularly. The young people here coming from predominantly communities of color and working class backgrounds would be victimized if those two initiatives passed.
As political scientists continue thinking about shaping history, young voters have demonstrated how they can shape today's events at voter registration rallies and block parties, and as volunteers and canvassers. There's no ignoring that youth participation appears to be on a steep incline, and the hunger for change feeds the energy of the youth voter. All of this culminates in greater participation by young people. But casting a vote is not the only way young people are impacting the political process.
But what we're also doing is we're incorporating the youth by, they come to all of our events, they do phone banking, they do canvassing. We're outreaching to not just high school students, but college students and just anyone that really wants to be a part. But our main focus really to get canvassers out, to get, you know, those door-to-door folks. The youth needs a lot of school credit and so forth, so we want to get them involved. I think the one thing, as soon as we get them involved, they become so like happy or of the unknown that they do end up coming back, right? That's what we're doing. We're really creating all these campaign staffers that are going to have some solid campaign field work that they'll be able to just go anywhere and really help out, not just, you know, on the presidential, but also our local campaigns and our statewide and regional campaigns.
So no matter whether it's local, statewide, or nationally, judging by the degree of involvement of young people in the 2008 election season, the real question may not have to do with whether or not youth counts in politics, but how much and where. From Los Angeles, I'm Alvin Clavon for Eagle Eye View's 2008 elections, Youth Votes on the Future.
While the topic of immigration has been largely sidestepped by the stumbling economy and national security issues during the presidential campaigns, voters only had to look at the proposed policies of the presidential candidates to make their decision. John McCain said that he believes that there is a supply of jobs that Americans will not do. He has insisted on key immigration reforms, including securing the border between the U.S. and Mexico. McCain also supported an earned legalization and temporary work program with verification employment via an electronic system. Barack Obama also campaigned on a comprehensive immigration reform package that would offer a path to citizenship that included paying a fine and learning English. He favors increased border patrols, technological surveillance, and fencing the border. Then, Senator Obama also believes that the workplace enforcement should include labor rights and legalization, but that U.S. citizens should first be offered guest worker program jobs at a decent wage. By Any Means Necessary, or BAM, is a national organization advocating a civil rights agenda that defends equal rights, affirming action and integration.
DREAM Act, you know, they both say things in the direction of some amount of citizenship rights for immigrants. So I don't think they differ too much on that. Where I think the Obama candidacy could benefit BAM's aims more is because of the fact that if he wins, it will have been because of a broad-based youth political movement in America that wants an end to all the prejudice and discrimination of American society, and it's the understanding of that movement that will determine whether or not Obama actually acts on the things that he's been promising.
Throughout the nation, minority groups have grown at increasing rates. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the Hispanic community has about 40 million people, and Asians come in third with approximately 15 million. Exit polls shows that Senator Obama won 67% of Latino vote. African Americans are the second highest with about 40 million people, and Asians come in third with approximately 15 million. Barack Obama's desire for change resonated within minority communities. They were pivotal in the landmark victory that put him in the nation's highest office. That effort helped elect the country's first African-American president, Barack Obama. Eagle Eye View's Monica Montero has this story about a special activist who speaks particularly to young people.
The Latino youth vote was in question, leaving many wondering if they would make a difference in 2008. This time, about 2/3 of voters between the ages of 18 to 29 supported Senator Obama. About 3/4 of Latino voters in that age bracket said they also favored him. About 3.3 million young Caucasians voted Obama.
La importancia del voto en la juventud es importante porque de la juventud depende todo. El futuro de cualquier país, el futuro de cualquier nación está precisamente en la juventud. Una vez que la juventud tenga conciencia política y en los tiempos de democracia que estamos viviendo, donde la oportunidad que la democracia nos otorga a las minorías, pues hace que nosotros hagamos la balanza para un lado o para el otro.
Martín Montero is a community leader who tries to get young people interested in politics, explaining how parties work, and of course trying to get them to choose a party. He is also my dad. Will the youth vote for Obama another 4 years? The 2012 election are already being discussed by students across the country. As of today, the Iowa caucuses are a mere 37 months away. I'm Monica Montero for Eagle Eye View's 2008 election. Youth votes on the future.
In Los Angeles especially, the history of young Latino involvement in the election process is a long and colorful one. Thanks to Monica Montero for that report.
When we come back from this short break, we're going to look at how the war in Iraq affected how young people voted.
Also, how did they do on the big issue of environment, education, and the economy?
And a conversation with political strategist Dan Schnur for his take on what the youth vote meant to the election last year.
It's just ahead on this special edition of Cal State LA's Eagle Eye View, the 2008 election, Youth Votes on the Future.
Don't go away, we'll be right back.